G'day OPL fans, welcome back to the second day. Mate, Aussie as a meat pie. We're getting a look at the Avant Gaming lineup on your screen right now. Only and Parbu, the man with the pink hair, new additions to this squad, and as well as Frey. Arguably the team with the best hair in the whole... Actually, not arguably, but team with the best hair. Frey and Parbu's hair carries.
Team with the brightest hair, 100%.
Yeah, it certainly does. Only, of course, very hyped after a strong Origin performance. See what they have to offer. They're going up against the Bombers. Newest addition to the OPL, of course, acquisition of Abyss going through over the off-season. See how they fare on Summoner's Rift as opposed to the Footy Oval. Yeah. Are you a big AFL fan?
I'm honestly not the biggest AFL fan. I'm a bit of a...
I'm
just a computer gamer.
Have you got a team?
No.
Well, then you're not the biggest. You're not a fan at all.
Straight up, I'm from Canberra. I'm not from Victoria like yourself. So, I mean, Canberra do that. They probably have a team, but
no,
like, I don't know
they don't have a team.
Okay, they don't. There you go.
You have the Sydney Swans or the Greater Western Sydney because really everyone knows that the ACT is within Sydney. So
no. It's 3.5 hours away. I have to catch a bus.
You do have to catch a bus, actually. But this game, this is a really interesting one because both of these teams have been shaken up. Of course, we're not going to see the Bombers at full strength because of the ban to both Luch as well as Sleeping. But they do have Choo Choo's, a veteran of the team who you've played with, subbing in. What are you going to make of these teams, or is it just so hard to tell right now?
I think it is honestly very hard to tell. There's not a full-strength team coming out of the Bombers here. AV, they do have the full strength, of course. Without Pinch joining them on stage, but the rest of the lineup intact there. So hope to see some good things out of what a lot of people consider the middle-placed teams in the league. AV, along with Legacy, we just saw a 2-0. Great performance by them, but to see how these two face off will be interesting leading into the season. Yeah,
it certainly will be, and AV is such a funny side because when I look at them, they've lost Triple Shore, but they've picked up acquisitions in Parbu and Only, who are much more volatile, I would say, than the top side of the map they had. Series and Sybil look to be role players on the team. So potentially could win them more games, but also has the potential to cost them more games.
First of all, you just called Series a role player because he played fancy stuff in the top lane last season. But yeah, as you said, Only coming in, has played the likes of Kane in the jungle when it first released, was the first person to play that in the OPL. But they do have a very strong bot side of the map, I think, in Jake and Blinky. They're a staple bottom lane in the league.
Did Parbu play Pantheon last year?
Yeah, Parbu did.
Yeah, so I mean, compared to Pantheon, Series is a role player.
Okay.
I mean, although Wukong actually pretty strong as well. Yeah, I don't know who I'd give. They're both
I don't think either of the picks were too successful here, but... Anyway, let's talk about Frey for a little bit. In terms of the mid laners in the off-season, switching around, we saw a lot. Tommy, Ryoma to Chiefs, we saw Swiffer to Order, Triple to Direwolves, that sort of stuff. And Frey, very good player in his own right. Not the first time we've seen him in the OPL. Did play for a few other teams like the Hellions.
Immunity, Hellions.
Yep. 100% very good player. And he's one of those players that professional teams and players look at as he's not just a solo queue hero, not just coming out of there. He does have a good mind for the game, good competitively, all around, nice champ pool.
He's played everything as well. He's played AD carry, he's played mid lane, he's played mid lane in AD carry. He's a big Lucian proponent is what I'm trying to get at there. So he's got a very flexible champion pool. Going up against the Bombers, keeping Rosie, Seb, I mean, what do we make of this lineup? Because Abyss, by their standards, had a disappointing 2017.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. Rosie, the man in the bottom lane support. We talked about it earlier in the day, likes to play his own stuff, but then you see the likes of Seb, their jungler. They obviously have faith in these players, keeping them around for this next year, 2018. Rocky 2017, as you said, but Seb going from part-time to full-time, was studying at university last year, also playing the OPL, so now moving into the gaming house.
Top laner was Parbu. He was also part-time.
Yep. 100% there. So now they do have these full-time facilities, and with the backing of the Bombers, they've been practicing at the hangar there. So interesting to see how they fare, and hopefully these players that are returning from 2017 can grow. And then on your screen, you just saw there, left-hand side, Tiger will be the only import we see today, but bringing him over, arrived, what, yesterday?
Yeah, I think the tweet was yesterday morning he arrived.
So we'll be tired, but hopefully he can do some work there with them.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that works out. And we also have to see what our guest analyst Destiny thinks of the matchup. So let's throw it over to Destiny and Laura to check in for this game.
Thanks, Jake. We're back. And congratulations, you got your prediction right on the last series.
100%.
Hopefully you can go 2 for 2. But now we've got AV going up against the Bombers. What's your thought on this series, knowing that the Bombers have 2 subs filling in?
Yeah, losing Sleeping, who I think is definitely a very good top laner, losing him for Artiferns is definitely going to take a hit on the Bombers. I think bringing in Seb and Rosie from last year, they did have some disappointing performances, but as touched on by the desk, they are full-time now. They've got the facilities, they've got the investment, so hopefully now that they've been given these facilities, they can improve and play as a team. Tiger arriving yesterday, he might have some jet lag, so look, I think the Bombers, it's going to be a hard game for them, especially against against Avant Gaming. They just came back from Korea, so they're pretty fresh off their boot camp. I think Parbu is an upgrade from Serious. Only was very hyped up last year, especially at League of Origin. He had some great performances on the Nidalee. So I think this, and the bot lane's just very, very consistent, as touched on. I think this AV team is going to take out the Bombers in 2-0.
2-0.
Even with the loss of Pinch, who's copped a 2-week ban, I think Brucey might help them out there.
I'm also going to give it a 2-0 to AV. I don't think we're going to see the Bombers' full potential today. But if you would like to make your own predictions at home, make sure you go to opltips.com.au. We've got XP boosts, we've got RP prizes, and we have $25, $50, and $100 Hungry Jacks vouchers if you place in the top 150 or 25 places at the end of the split. For all the information, make sure you go to opltips.com.au and click on prizes. Thank you once again for your prediction. But to get this series started, let's hand it over to Jake and Bryce.
Thanks so much. So 2-0 sweeps across the board for Avant Gaming. I mean, we haven't really seen much of Tiger, so it's hard to say whether he is that, you know, the traditional 1v9 carry, 80 carry. But, I mean, what does a win look like if you're playing with two subs at the moment?
First, before we even get on that, Saz, I want to touch on Destiny. He says he's got a 100% prediction rate. I'm pretty sure he didn't bet for the Direwolves yesterday, or I hope he did, because he lost that one, so can't be sitting too pretty right now. But yeah, what does the win look for the Bombers today? They do have these two substitutions. Artiferns coming in for the top lane. Has played in the OCS, played at the ESL tournament at the end of last year. On a legacy team that was a bit makeshift. We saw Garvin playing Jana there. So, I don't know, pretty interesting. I think it will be an uphill battle for them here. They are going to rely on those members that do have the veterancy in the scene, know the players. Like, Tiger's coming in, and mind you, he would have done his research coming over, but he doesn't know who he's playing against. He hasn't played against these players before, so it's going to be a new experience for him. He comes from a bigger region, but how much does that mean on the OPL stage for the first time?
Yeah, exactly right. We'll see whether he's able to pull it together. You've also, I mean, you've battled with the next two things that I want to talk about. Jet lag.
Okay.
Actually, it's hard, isn't it, to play through jet lag?
100%. If your game is at 5 p.m. or whatever we're at now, I don't actually know what time we're at, but we had a 2-0, so it's been a quick day. You got to watch?
Yeah, it's about is it 5:45? Okay. Is my phone right?
5:45, who knows? Anyway,
no, it's not at all. I'm not even looking at my phone. I'm looking at my watch, by the way. My watch is 2 hours incorrect.
Okay, well.
So it is 10-4.
Okay, 10-4. But if he's been up since 6 a.m., 5 a.m. because he can't sleep based on the wrong time zone, like that's a struggle. You want to be playing competitive games at your peak, especially in a new environment like this, and he just won't be straight up, doesn't have that opportunity.
So maybe a player playing, you know, with the gravity boots on from Dragon Ball Z. If we continue the metaphor, you know, on the other side, you got the team that's just come out of the hyperbolic time chamber. Were you a Dragon Ball Z fan? You know where I'm going.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right, it makes you better. You train there and it makes you better quicker. What do you think about the Korea boot camp? You've been on a couple.
Yeah, Korean boot camp, definitely. I think Order is the only team we've seen so far that has won the series that hasn't been on the Korean boot camp here. So AV definitely have the edge. There we go.
What do you mean? Both Chiefs and Direwolves were there,
that's
and
still
one
100%.
of them lost.
That's still 100%. We've only seen 3 series. Legacy won the last one. They've been to Korea. But I think it's a big deal. This is the second time AV have been over there, and it does level up teams.
So what does it level up, though? Like, are you scrimming over there? Are you actively looking for team play? Is it you just go there to become a better individual player, and then you come back to OS for the team play? What is the way to do this?
Both. I think it's absolutely both individual and team play. AV, I talked to Parbu when he was streaming last week, and they were scrimming teams whilst they were over there. I don't think they were scrimming too many Koreans. Maybe the Korean Challenger Series, but obviously not LCK teams, but... the individual practice solo queue is just the biggest thing. For individual, that's where you said yesterday, that's where you put in the hours as a professional player. You grind out the games, and that's just a huge level up. And then yeah, you're just getting stomped by these overseas teams, international teams, learning from them. Losing is the quickest way to learn. If you just win everything, then like you don't know what you should be getting punished for, that sort of stuff. So it's just a hyperbolic time chamber, as you mentioned, and you come back and you bring this career buff, and that's something we haven't touched on too much, but it does fade off over time.
So why does it fade? Like, talk to me about this.
Yeah.
Is it a mentality thing where you're in Korea, you're switched on, you're firing on all cylinders, you're getting into game really quickly, you're playing against people that you admire from overseas, and you come back and you get complacent, lax, or is it the rest of the region catches up? Do you go down? Do they come up? How does this work?
It's a few things. I don't think it's complacency. You have to assume that the players are switched on during the season. First week here, they do want to be ready, but the specific knowledge of the meta that you bring back is only relevant for that meta. If we go from this hypercarry Azir Kog'Maw meta and then in 2 weeks' time we're playing Zed Lucian, then that's completely different. So you do lose a bit of that very specific knowledge that's relevant at that time. But also, you go over there getting punished for mistakes that you might not necessarily be getting punished for against teams in Oceania or different players. So you lose your grasp on your limits, and that's where it kind of falls off over time. So you see this career buff being hugely effective for teams like the Direwolves. They come back immediately, are very strong. Come back AV, you'd have to think that they're coming back with this buff will be strong, but I think it will fade for a lot of these teams going forward into the end of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, let's go away from what AV has gone through. Let's talk about the off-season of the Bombers, because even though we talk about the positives of this, acquisition, the fact that they're being able to bring over these big-name players, they've got a facility, there also must be an inherent, weight almost on the players of carrying what is a very big franchise in Australian sport as a total into now the OPL.
Yeah, 100%. Adelaide Crows had invested into Legacy, but weren't. Legacy are still called Legacy. They're not the Adelaide Crows. So Essendon Bombers Abyss now renamed into that. So you'd have to think, Rosie, he's been an Essendon fan his whole life. He was born into it there. And so...
As am I. I'm like a 22-year member.
Okay. Bit of bias here.
Yeah.
Who are you picking? Who's your prediction, AV or Bombers?
No, I'm play-by-play caster. I just call it exactly how I see it. Straight down the middle.
Dodged the question.
Yep,
what are you
certainly
doing?
am. I'm not doing that.
But you have to assume there is that little bit of pressure. This is their first game under the Bombers lineup. Mind you, not full strength, but...
Did you feel it when you went from Legacy to Chiefs? I mean, in that time frame, the Chiefs were like the brand in Oceanic Esports. You had upset them the year before, but did you feel the extra weight of donning the shield?
Donning the shield. I don't think it was down to donning the shield. I think I felt it when I first played against Legacy. And Abyss Bombers don't have that because they are the same roster, just renamed, rebranded here. They haven't changed teams, so it's not like they can verse their old organization or their old players.
So you wanted to go in and be like, I made the right decision.
Yes, you
I'm
go
going
into
to
that
win the game.
And it's like, play against, let's say Chiefs aren't the best team at that time or whatever, playing against a super scary team and you're like, oh, nervous for the game. But I was just nervous going into Legacy, like, if I lose this, I look like an idiot.
Yeah, really, you're just like, I'm going to kill Tim. Where is he? Give me the Ignite.
I killed Tim and I think I emoted him at the stage. He wasn't very happy.
Did you really?
I'm sorry, guys. My bad.
Bummer. All right, let's jump into this game. It is going to be the Bombers taking to the Rift, although they might be taxiing this week as we see the two substitutes in Artifirm as well as Choo Choos.
Oh, my Lord.
Of course, going up against Avant, it's going to be Braum, it's going to be Callista, it's going to be Ornn, it's going to be Zoe hitting the bench. Of course, we'll have to keep an eye on the substitutes. If people go onto the field at the same time, it will be a free kick taken from the sideline.
He's just...
I've got so many teed up for this.
Cassiopeia.
Cassiopeia also joining the Rift.
Oh, Zoe hits the ban list, and that's the big thing. We haven't seen too much of that. We saw Swiffer play it yesterday, but today wasn't even touched in the entire series. We saw Malzahar, Azir, Rise, but no Zoe. Made it all the way through, and that will be the Shen first pick. Blinky is happy about that one.
Certainly is. Big grin on his face. Potentially it's going to be Artiferns in the top lane playing the Shen. Also, Rosie would be able to take it. He is an unorthodox support player. I want to track how Tiger and Rosie synergize in this game because, I mean, Andrew has always been a player that kind of plays his own style of bottom lane meta.
Bard.
Yeah, it certainly does. It's going to be Kog'Maw Jarvan picked up on the side of Avant Gaming.
Yeah, Sejuani is still available on the other side, but Seb is looking at the Zac, but...
He's always been a Zac player.
He has always
Zac
been a Zac.
Elise. He's always kind of reminded me of Sybil.
Yeah, very
and then
similar.
Had spikes. Like, they kind of fluctuate around each other. It's quite interesting, those two players. We'll see what potentially want to take now. I mean, they've cleared... Maybe 80 carry is the area you would look. Kog'Maw has been picked up, but, you know, Varus as well as Ezreal still available.
Yep, fairly standard answer there coming out of the Bombers. See what Avant pick up in response, but they already have the scaling game.
Come on, what are you going with? Is it a mid laner? What would you pick right now?
I mean, I think they picked Tom Kench.
Oh my goodness. You are such
Oh, I'm a genius.
Yeah, all right, get
I'm
me
a
out of here.
genius. There we go. But no, speak about the Tom Kench for a little bit. Varus on the other side starts off with a single target skill shot CC, so keeping Cogmore out of that one with the Devour, so easy. And Blinky and Jake, story duo here, have been playing with each other for alongside as Brucey is on our screens right now. We haven't talked about him too much. Pinch not available for AV here, so he is fulfilling the coach duties.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, I'm sure he got given a notebook and some
He has a
specific
notebook,
instructions.
yep.
However, we'll see how that impacts because, I mean, we talk about how players impact not being available,
Yep.
but coaches also a big deal right now in the OPL. Windows Monkey joining the Bombers after a year off, I believe,
Yep.
was one of the founders of the Abyss lineup.
And I do want to talk about that for a little bit. Talk about how coaches influence it. So in the draft phase, players can have tons of opinion. You practice something for a week and then you get on stage and you're like, oh, I really want to play Thresh.
Yeah.
Like, Thresh is bad, but I'm feeling it. You know, we're one game up. I want to do it. And the coach is there to kind of facilitate the whole thing. If everybody has different opinions, they will be oftentimes that last decision maker. So they kind of hold it all together. So missing Pinch potentially a weak point for AV as we do see the rest of the bands coming
Yeah,
through.
Azir, LeBlanc, Gangplank. So a couple of top lanes, couple of mid lanes, and it's going to be a
hover.
Bard hover. I mean,
Shout out to Rosie.
for a time, there was a legendary OPL top laner that was a big Tom Kench fan.
Are you talking about the whale?
No, I wasn't actually. I was talking
Oh,
about.
you're talking about Minky
I was
Whale.
talking about Pac-Man. Pac-Man
yeah,
played it into
okay.
Camille over and over again and swore to me it was the counter pick.
Okay.
But Oriana gets locked in. What I'm saying is that potentially is a flex as well.
Yeah. Okay. I very much doubt it. But Malzahar into the Oriana might be the good matchup in the 1v1, but they already have the Tom Kench available. Such a good answer. As I said, works similarly to the Varus. Single target CC. You hit someone with a nether grasp, and if Jake's there to eat them up, you're not going to do a whole lot of anything.
And all of a sudden, instead of buying 4 QSSs, you just have to buy 1 on the Tom Kench
Yep.
because he QSSs if he gets eaten.
Yep.
If he gets hit, if not, he just eats the person and runs away. Cho'Gath going to be the hover. Artifan's big Cho'Gath player in the OCS from memory. So that will be a support Shen and a tanky lineup with 2 damage threats. We're seeing it more and more, Bryce, come out.
Yeah, very tanky. And I do want to touch on, we talked about how might not be the best idea for that Malzahar into the Tom Kench, but they already have the Shen, they already have the Zac, so they have that primary engage and can use it as the follow-up. So
Yep.
tons of engage options here for the Bombers, as the answer is actually Trundle. We haven't seen too much of that.
Yeah, time to troll, says Mr. Parbu. Of course, one of the best champions against this Cho'Gath because matches sustain and then does a lot of pulling away the resistances because Cho'Gath gets so much HP from his ultimate that he generally does build a little bit more resist heavy, so we'll be able to steal that and then just run at Tiger.
Yep, 100%. And even in the side lane, he's going to be able to bully him around as this game progresses here. Trundle, very good split pushing. Cho'Gath just going to be able to try and hold his own there.
Can bite turrets again.
Yeah.
Which is a welcome change.
Yep.
Because, I mean, I didn't buy into the fact that Troll's going to bite turrets. I've seen Trolls in a couple of shows and, you know, they go for it.
And we have brought up, I think we missed talking about the player lineups here, so just to refresh you, Artifern's in the top lane for the Bombers.
Seb,
we switched it up,
Choo-Choo,
Seb.
Tiger, and Rosie. Now it's going to be Parbu only, Frey, Blinky, Jake. We'll go through them quickly, that's all right. And Windows Monkey is the Bombers coach. Brucey today is the Barn Gaming coach.
And someone we haven't really mentioned is Choo-Choo's. Filling in for Luch in the mid lane here. I've played with him
You have
a
years
long
ago.
time ago on the Legacy lineup. Very good player at the time. Has taken a hiatus recently. He did cast some OCS games, so almost made the transition, and now he's back.
Was a part of TM briefly at the start of the last split.
The man on your screen right now. Veteran of the scene. Can play a multitude of different things. At one stage, very good at the Assassins. Known for his Z 2014
He
wildcards.
can play 80 carry in the mid lane. He plays control. He's actually just a good player. He's also vocal as well. I mean, a good thing about having veterans is when you get a vocal veteran, they can come in and teach very quickly, and I'm sure he's instilling some of that knowledge.
Not to mention in a Bombers lineup where they have these substitutes. So being able to bring in a vocal player, oftentimes subs don't have that experience on stage, shut down, that sort of thing, and communication just so vitally important. Choo-Choo's does bring that level head. Tiger wouldn't have been practicing with the Bombers too much. Just got here yesterday, we were told, so they practiced a bit hit and miss there. And bringing in that vocal voice in Choo-Choo's here is a bit of a level 1 fight.
A bit of a level 1. That's a big level 1. Flash out of Seb already. Throw a flag at him. And they're just looking for some deep vision. They also get the ward, and now Artiferns has potentially been caught out.
Nah, he's chilling. He's got his hat and he's walking away.
Pabu just missed that ward. 2 creeps at the start of the game would have been great. However, not going to be the case. And we do have Windows Monkey standing alongside with Laura, the bomb. Laura's not the Bombers coach. Windows Monkey is.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm standing here with Windows Monkey. What's the team's preparation been like heading into this game with 2 subs stepping in and Tiger only just hopping off the plane yesterday?
ADC recently arrived in Australia, so we haven't had a whole lot of time to practice. So that's kind of the downside, but pretty much we just told the team, go in, do your best, and yeah, just see what we can come out with, and you know, hopefully it goes well.
The Bombers just had their launch recently, and even though it's still early days, how has Essendon's infrastructure and support helped the team so far?
Essendon has completely changed everything. The infrastructure that they're able to provide, you know, the training facility which we're going to, we have like an office as well as the house. Pretty much like every aspect of coaching and in terms of how the team functions has just been completely upgraded by them being involved.
And looking at both teams' compositions this game, what are the win conditions for the Bombers?
I think we have a pretty well-rounded composition. I think we have a lot of tools to be able to, I guess, come to their backline, and I think, yeah, I just think we have a good well-rounded composition to be able to win.
Well, best of luck with the series, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
So a well-rounded comp put together. Kind of does everything well. They've got some good pick in the Malzahar as well as Varus, some good late game damage, and then some beefy front line.
And I mean, the big thing you do note in that situation is that Pabu will be able to fully run Artiferns in the side lane, but because they have the engage range from the Zac and that spell book, potentially teleport coming out of Choo Choo, so much pick potential as we might see a little bit of a...
Yeah, we see the do-si-do. Seb goes around and is able to... Actually, that only gets picked up by Seb. No flash, as you mentioned. And Frey steals away the big Raptor.
Only still going to be level 2. Unfortunately, Frey taking that one away from his teammate. Choo Choo's a little bit of a trade there. Frey taking the greedy way back to lane. Gonna pop a pot.
And I mean, this is just Frey saying that there is no pressure on the map right now because Seb isn't there. You can see all the lanes are pushing in. This gives Only great luxury to be able to counter.
And this is a differing style we've seen from Only. I think he's known to be a fairly passive jungler. And in the first game of the season, 2018, he's come in, level 2 invade onto Seb, flashless Zac, very weak early game jungler in the Zac, so he's looking to punish hard and early, and that's a very good sign going for Only forward.
Certainly is, and you can see Avant just really suffocating right now. They even pull Pabu out of the top lane to track what is happening on the top side of the jungle, so eyes on Seb the whole time. Will now go for an invade onto the Raptor camp, but once again, that has been spotted out by Frey, so a cohesive early game here.
Raptors aren't good, that's where, ooh, nice. That's a good power.
Yeah, it certainly was. Straight out of that taunt, out of Rosie. Costs him a lot of energy, gets no reward for it.
Every game, every OPL game, we see someone get spotted out at the Raptor camp. It's a jungler's nightmare here.
Certainly is. You can see Choo Choo's a little bit but does get a pretty good trade right now onto Frey. Gets a wave pushing in as well. Yep. Has that spell book, as we keep mentioning, so can teleport whenever he wants to.
And that is matched by the Orianna as well. We see oftentimes a lot of Summon Airy, a lot of the Comet, but he does go for the spell book, knowing that Malzahar will take that route, wants to be able to match, I believe, there. And
yeah, it makes a little bit of sense. Summon Airy, however, just gives so much control to Orianna lane. Yeah. See whether he can continue the harass across the board as we check in. Actually, we're not going to. So good taunt right now by Rosie. Jake actually in big trouble. Heal has to be burnt as well as Grey Health. Ignite was thrown down. And you can see Blinky now just marching forward on the Pugmore, barking his head off and does some good return damage.
And that was the Shen Tam Kench matchup talking about just there. Rosie goes in for the engage. Jake tries to get the counter damage, but just can't proc the passive, can't devour the enemy there because of the dodge field. We do have a gank Frey. Yeah,
no flash available, and that may be Frey dead because he flashes away, but Seb says, come back here. No mana available, though, really hurts Choo Choo's. They do get the summoner spell, but they don't get the kill.
As you said, get the flash, but nothing more out of that. Nice pathing by Seb. He was spotted out very early in the game there. Only 5 minutes now, but did find an avenue to access the mid lane. We do check in at the top side. Pabu very here. But he does have himself about a 10 CS lead already.
Can you be very out of mana, or are you just out of mana?
You can be very out of mana.
See,
it's a...
all right.
It's like a scale, you know what I mean? Like, you can have 0 mana, and you can be very out of mana. You have absolutely none. Or you can have a little bit. You can be like, oh, Malzahar, Choo-Choo's had enough for his Malefic Vision for his E, but he couldn't Q. He
if
couldn't
I
reapply
say
it.
we're out of bread, do you assume there's any bread left? Do I have
Maybe
to say we're very out of bread?
Next question. Do you eat the crusts? Because I'm sure there's probably
I
a few
actually
crusts.
do eat the crust. I'm a
gross.
big
Nobody
crust
eats-
fan.
No, sorry, not the crust. I mean like the end.
The
of
ends,
the loaf.
yeah, that's what I
Okay,
mean.
no, you're gross. Nobody does that. Nobody actually does that. What's-
Lots of butter, a little bit of jam. Big
No.
jam fan.
I'm a big jam fan. But not the crust, not the ends. There's only looking for a dive through the turret. Mega flank coming out of him onto Artifernes. Flashes the knock-up, but his Rupture misses as well. Can they get the kill? Pabu still has the flash. He will just chomp him. Doesn't even need to use it there. Nice
gang
first
setup.
blood.
Yeah, really nice first blood
Yeah.
coming out of Avant. I mean, that's some creative passing out of Only. And the lane that will win naturally will now win more due to that. We can see right now a little bit of trading back and forward in the mid lane.
Already got himself a 10 CS lead, and that's just going to make it worse. Only going straight through the turret there. Doesn't care about it. Takes a turret shot or two, but very tanky on the Jarvan. First blood. That's a 1k gold lead. Very
6
small,
minutes,
but
all
we're
the
only
stock.
6 minutes in.
Yes, stopwatch is now available, however,
Yeah,
due to
true.
that timing. So obviously not being taken on Cho'Gath, but you can see across the board everywhere else stopwatches are available. Orianna doesn't have one, but most of the other members of the team do here for Avant Gaming. A potential repeat gank now that level 6 is available and Flash has been burnt by Frey. That is just a kill waiting to happen. You have to expect that they pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, she is on the side of Frey, floating towards the top side. They potentially are looking for another punish onto
Yeah,
Artifact.
I mean,
He's
and it looks
very
like they're going to
pushed
be
up.
able to get it because he is so pushed up. Flash still available. Flash, flag, drag, dunk. Thank you. Get off the screen. And one more time, Artifernes in big danger. Rosie now could be eaten. Jake doesn't have it available, maybe. So
just out of range.
Yeah, trade damage there.
And you did mention Frey is so susceptible to the ganks right now, but he's doing a nice job of floating towards the top side of the map. AV have such priority up there, only keeping the pressure onto Artifernes, and Pabu just constantly pushing him in, doing the damage. 2-0-0 right now, and Frey's just using that to help himself out while he's in this lull where he doesn't have the flash. He's just floating that side because he knows that bombers don't want to go there.
And I mean, potentially that's the other reason to take the mastery he has for the additional flash cooldown because it is nearly back and available. I want to talk to you about O's strength in different roles quickly because checking in with Tiger, he's up by about 10 CS, but it isn't a more aggressive lane matchup. It's actually, this is a game flash forward, into the silence, into the slap back, and they go with the ultimate as well. However, Shockwave comes across, and they do get him in the end, but they have to use so much for it. Turret shot hits as well. He misses! Oh, disaster has struck for AV. That should have been a return kill, but in the end, Bombers do pick up their first kill.
Really nicely played. Stacked the CC perfectly there. The knock up from Seb into the slap with the minion. Waited on Choo-Choo's part to burn the ulti there. So Frey stunned down for so long. Eventually does get the ulti, but falls down.
So I wanted to talk to you about strength of role. Because in my opinion, and I mean, take this with a grain of salt, O's best role has always been mid laners.
Yep, agree. 100%.
However, I think in recent years, the AD carry pool has really strengthened. So top lane jungle, when I talk to a lot of teams, is the roles that they look to import for. We see, you know, Sleeping coming across, Mimic coming across. Do you think that an import into the AD carry position is a game changer? We've already seen Cake come across, had some okay performances, but didn't really take the realm by storm. Tiger looking to do something similar here?
I mean, it completely depends on the Bombers, on their options in the offseason. Obviously, they think it's a good idea here, but I think the supportive roles in jungle, support, and top laner, they're the most macro-heavy. AD carry, you can have very good mechanics, not talk much, and still be a very successful player. And the same as a mid lane. They do influence the map more, but I think where OS falls behind the bigger regions is in terms of those macro roles, and that's where I think jungle and support, and you mentioned top lane, have been the weakest over time. So interesting that they do look to import an AD carry, but in saying that right now, straight 2v2 matchup, they're 10 CS up ahead onto the Cogmore. And looking to get onto level 6. Rosie's already left the lane. He's Shen ulted mid, so...
Yeah, did a good job there. Probably saved a turnaround 2v2 kill. So
100%.
Credit to Rosie being able to impact the rest of the map. As you said, 10 CS advantage, and, you know, not necessarily taking away anything from Tiger. I don't even know if it's a conversation for Bombers in general. I just think it's something that every team now needs to look at of where they are actually going to import and for why. As we take a look at the rest of the map CS values, 2 kills up into the top lane for Pabu, as well as his 17 CS lead, means he's flying at the moment. And
wrong team, mate.
Yeah, wrong team.
Pabu's not flying. The Bombers are
well,
flying.
no, I hate to break it to you. Pabu is flying.
Yeah, he's
and he looks kind of funny because they have a plane. He's just a troll.
He pillared it out of the sky. He was like Titanic, but he was the iceberg with his pillar. And also the ship was a plane.
I was about to say, yeah. All right, cool. But if we continue the metaphor, I can see where you're going.
We
I
can
like
stretch it. We can stretch it. Come on.
Blinky and Jake, they're doing okay, trying to scale up into this late game. But you can see a lot of control has been in the bottom side for Tiger and Rosie.
But it's saying that that's all they need to do. All of AV's pressure has been on the top side. They've repeatedly ganked Artiferns, picking on the substitute up there, which, I mean, in terms of winning, that's a good strategy. Not familiar with the role. Bombers, very little practice as this cohesive 5-man unit, so that was their strategy. They picked a nice, safe bot lane. Cogmore can farm from range after level 6, has the W and the ulti available, and Tom Kent's just very hard to gank. You have to get onto him, and if he plays behind, then
and they're actually
pretty
up
easy.
in gold. I mean, maybe hitting a couple more cannon creeps or something like that. We'll see how it works out. You can see in the top lane, big gold discrepancy, nearly 2,000.
Yeah, that's actually enormous, to be honest. Straight up. And,
I like when you're
lane.
honest. Sometimes I feel like you're lying to me.
Okay. Have I lied to you today, Jake? What have I said?
I don't think so.
You haven't called me a liar? Okay.
I haven't called you out on one, no, definitely not. Blinky returns a little bit of fire, but you can see Tiger definitely getting the better end of these trades, but it's just so hard to kill people. Also, the fact that Only is down here clearing out vision makes it a little bit difficult for the Bombers to push up.
I mean, it is very hard for Only to dive this lane as well. Very healthy. Shen, dodge field, plus the taunt with the CC coming from Varus. Going to be very hard to 2v3 that one, but because of the priority Pabu has on the top side of the map, he can just shove this to the inner turret. They can TP down here. They are looking for the Ocean Drake here, the laning dragon. We talked about it last game, but once again.
This will actually help Cogmore significantly because when he farms with ultimate, has to use a lot of mana. But he only does it in Windows, so they'll be able to shove out the wave now. Look for that. Only, of course, has that Rift Herald. So, right now, Avant Gaming are in the driver's seat. Choo Choo's looking to face check, and that means Only has to go over the wall.
He does go over the wall, gets the hell out of dodge there. Bot lane looking like in a bit of trouble, but he's just going to get eaten. Let's see if Seb goes to continue the dive, but...
Yep, I mean, potentially that eat can be important if Seb gets down there now. However, he has backed away. Minion wave was not prepped.
Also, really heads up play out of AV's bottom lane, Blinky and Jake. As soon as they burnt that, they backed off completely, and they respected the fact that the dive could come through. They don't know where Seb is.
And they still don't know where he is, and they don't know where Choo Choo's is either, although he actually, they do. They both walked over a ward.
No, but the biggest thing is that Blinky and Jake backed off out of vision. So Bombers Ghost coming out there looking.
Exactly right. However, there is lots of members here. So the flag drag,
the
ultimate comes in. Shockwave hit, although Rosie still completes, and that is not where you want to be. Dodgefield is down, but the whole of AV is there. They've used the Time Kench ulti. They're dropping Herald, and this will be a very early mid lane siege.
And both bot lanes have access to global ultimas here. Abyssal Voyage brings the whole bottom lane of AV. Choo Choo's flashed over the CC there, over the pillar to get Rosie into the thick of it, but immediately goes down. And without him, there's no damage. Tiger was still sitting in the bot lane, coming to defend now, but that's the Rift Herald dropped, and that's the outer turret for AV.
And actually, you know, that macro play, that experience over in Korea that we talk about, may be paying off here because even though, Blinky needs to get out. Let's take a look at the replay.
Yeah, we see it again. So Choo Choo's almost gets blocked by the pillar, but because of the passive, the Shenalty's on top of his head right there. You see Rosie does actually land, but look at who's here. You have a Zac, you have a Shen, and you have a Cho'Gath. There's no damage for anyone. Varus, if you look at the map, coming soon, hits the plant, but there's just nothing they can do at that stage. Choo Choo already burnt the ultimate, so already used his button, and then he goes down. There's just nothing.
Yeah, exactly right. And what I was going to mention is they took one turret. They back away because they had two massive side lanes that they needed to collect. They go get that. They get the hard reset they're looking for, and now sitting very pretty in the gold department.
Yeah, absolutely. That's almost a 4K lead for them there. As both 80 carries go back and finish their first items. Cogmore does benefit from this long laning phase. Gets over the blasting wand pump of his laning phase, so gets to Ginsu's, and then you have the walk on the other side for Tiger.
Of course, Cogmore at least has 3 AP ratios, so if he does land
one of the better users of a blasting wand, but
like when Vayne went Ginsu's,
yeah, when Vayne has a
that
blasting
was
wand,
not a good shot for Vayne.
That's a yikes. Does the Silver Bolt scale with AP?
Nah, nothing does.
Nothing? Okay. I was trying to look for something. But
yeah. I mean, if you get a Lich Bane and an Ashes Tooth, those two items scale with it, so...
Why would you do that?
I don't know.
You'd have to have a Gwinsus to build the blasting mod to then go Lichbrain and Nash's too.
I'm just letting you know that there are 2 items that scale with AP, Bryce.
Okay,
Do with that
one.
information what you will.
There we go. Absolutely nothing I'm doing with that information. There is AV looking to take over the map. They have just had this constant pressure. They've put all their pressure early game, only spent 2 ganks on the top side, both resulting in kills. So Pabu has this 2-0 lead. Turn that into a 30 CS lead and just has constant pressure in the top side. So now, all they have to do, walk bottom, and then they're going to have control over almost 4 quadrants of the map.
Yeah, exactly right. And we've seen that that's what's been happening time and time again, because now Only is sitting in the bottom side jungle, means that Tiger, means that Rosie cannot push up as aggressively as they would have liked. And the lane that was winning, and is still winning by 20 CS, is just nullified in pressure.
Yep. That's a really frustrating situation to be in, to be honest. If you are a winning lane and then the rest of your map just collapses down onto you, you just feel very helpless. Only cleaning out a few wards here. Seb is matching the 3v3, but only going to be super relevant if they actually pull the trigger on a dive, which is, in my eyes, very unlikely until they pull Frey, until they pull Pabu down here.
Yeah, I mean, and right now, they don't really need to, because Cogmore is sitting in a laning phase that he would want to sit in until the end of time, until he has 6 items, ideally for Cog.
Rough situation for the Bombers. I feel like they do need to start pulling the trigger on some plays. They need to make some decisions, decide, okay, we are behind, but it's only going to get worse from here. Controlling 3 quadrants of the map for AV. You see Pabu taking away the Grom. Seb is just going to fall further and further behind, and he is not the solo tank. They do have 3 into Cho'Gath, Zac, and Shen, but he will be their main engage tool, I think.
Pressure is unrelenting. Only gets in, clears out a ward. Now Orianna is down here. This is 4v2 in the bottom lane. I mean, teleports are available. They can look for a play if they want. However, AV will just take down the last remaining outer turret and secure themselves a 6,000 gold lead.
Yep. Only pretty brave clearing the pink ward, but with Frey shadowing him over the wall, felt safe to do so. And Seb? No. Autos the blue ward, but ends up cancelling it, walking it away. Frey is too spooky.
And what I want to talk about is, you know, Artifern's now level 11, Choo Choo's a level 11. There is potentially a play, if it's not near the Tahm Kench, you're blowing someone up.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, they can maybe kill the Trundle if they get the jump on him and he doesn't get the ultimate down, because they will do a lot of damage, but they just haven't pulled the trigger on him.
I mean, even if he does get the ulti down, that's Malzahar's strength, and he can just CC one person for so long, and if you're behind, if you just turn the fight into a 4v5 immediately, you can still win it. They have the gold deficit right now, 3k roughly here, but if Choo Choo's can get onto someone, as you said, without the Devour available, they can look for something, and they are right now. Dragon spawning in 20 seconds here. They're looking to get some control as the lineup of AV do reset slightly. Cogmore basing. Let's see how much he can pick up here. Is still about 20 CS behind Tiger, but gets himself a Zeal. They still have access to the stopwatch, and because of this bottom hand side of the map, it's been a fairly slow game, so stopwatch is available for the Varus, for the Shen, for the Tahm, for the Cogmore. Everyone has all these tools.
Yeah, exactly right. You can see that Pabu has cashed in on his cull already. 18 minutes into the game. He's a fairly wealthy man, but it's going to be the Bombers lineup starting up this Dragon. And it looks like, you know, the give has to be there, because one recall coming through, 2 members already in base. They actually will teleport back, so they want to fight in the end. Everyone wants to fight, apparently. Let's just get everyone in here, boys. 5v5. Let's go, they say. Artifern's already chunked out, and that's going to be Pabu flashing forward. Choo Choo's not able to get a full completed ultimate down, and now the team fight is split. Tiger is free hitting on the back line, but looks like the damage is going to be already done. The front line is decimated, and AV take the Dragon.
And Bombers have one chance, and that is the Malzahar ulti. Choose goes in for that onto the Tahm Kench, but he's just so tanky, no follow-up damage. Artiferns at that stage was already so low on the initial start of the play. Only got there a bit late, but because of the TPs coming out of AV from Pabu and Frey, they get there early, pick up the Dragon, pick up the team fight there. Despite not having any kills, they get a lot of map pressure.
Yeah, they certainly do. They use that Tahm Kench ulti to make sure they're pressuring every wave. Takes Blinky and Jake 3/4 of the way there. They're going to get a few pop shots onto the turret. I mean, Pabu takes down another solo turret. He's
a big boy.
Bigger than big.
Yep. Spirit Visage and the Titanic Hydra already. Only 2 kills, but just getting worse, especially as the Cho'Gath, building something like a Righteous Glory. Not pure stack. The efficiency of that item rests a lot on the active and the opportunities that that active affords you. So in the 1v1, building that way just hurts you in the end, especially against someone like the Trundle.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, we'll see whether Cho'Gath is able to get to the stage where flashing forward with something like a Stone Plate and eating a Cogmore will make him relevant enough in the team fights, because right now, in the strict 1v1, it is not working out.
Struggle Street. Struggle Street, strict 1v1.
So, what are we looking for right now from Bombers? I mean, has the plane taken off? Did they check in but miss the flight?
Interestingly, touch on that point in a second. No, I thought they were starting off the Baron then. Only in Jake just clearing out the vision, but I feel like you need to wait for Tiger's next item. Probably going to back and get the Runans fairly soon, but he's been pretty inactive this game.
No Ginsu's on Varus.
Yeah, he's gone Bork. There's a lot of tanky stats on the other side. You have a health tank in Jake on the Tahm Kench, and then only did go Cinder as well, and then you have the Trundle as well. So a lot of health on the other side, so it does make sense. But they just haven't been able to unlock him. He's had this CS lead basically the entire game, but hasn't been able to do anything to it. At this stage, 20 minutes with the gold lead, 20 CS up on him means absolutely nothing. So they need to start looking for these opportunities. And
you can see right now they're just going to start up the Baron. They've already popped the spell shields off Malzahar. They don't have any idea that this is going on. Pugmore does it so quickly. And I mean, even if they come right now, they're too late to the party. AV are looking calm, cool, collected, and in control.
Yeah.
And that's a 7,000, 8,000 gold lead now.
And Bombers had to know. They couldn't see anyone on the map. We toggled their vision for a moment there, and they just could not see anything around the Baron pit. But based on the other lanes, you know they're not catching the wave, so they must be doing something. They chose to go on the bot-hand side here, take a blue buff and a Gromp for their troubles, and
Potentially a bottom lane turret.
try and get themselves a bit more here. Losing the Baron, obviously not ideal, but they just can't fight at this stage. Gold lead, 8,000 gold right now, just too great to fight. So.
Oh, and Choo-Choo's might be caught here. Pabu does not stop the recall.
The passive, he needed an auto attack, but he's not a shift clicker. He wasn't attack moving around there.
Yeah, there was certainly time for an auto attack.
Yeah, absolutely. If he auto pillared that, potentially he could have cancelled, as he does have a 3,000 gold lead in that top lane matchup.
My goodness.
7k to 10k. That's a
Mid
big
lane
deal.
has a 2,000 gold lead as well. 50 CS advantage for Frey. A lot of that has to do with Choo-Choo's just not having an area to farm, and really 400 is the only gap between the 80 carry. So Tiger is the win condition now. Import over from the French League. I mean, we've already mentioned it. It's going to be rough. He's surely jet lagged.
Yep, 100% here, and especially up against this gold lead. AV looking to 5-man down on the bot side. They don't want Pabu getting the pressure in the other lanes. They want him for this team fight. There's so many tanks on the side of Bombers here, so potentially looking to be able to rip them down, hit the ultimate onto the Cho'Gath as they burst him down. Bombers, it needs to be a good Nethergrass. Choo-Choo's has the flash available, and that's their only way to start a good team fight, I think. Zach's going to look to get into the backlines, but I think that's the biggest thing for the Bombers right now, is that Malzahar ulti there. So,
and I think they need to get Pabu into the top lane, even though he hasn't got the teleport just off cooldown right now. There's no point in him being in the siege. They do engage right now. Jake has to burn the flash. So good use of that ultimate there from Seb. Nets him a key summoner spell.
Correct there. Did Pabu.
Oh, this is actually Pabu in big trouble, and they get the Nethergrass this time onto Jake with no damage there, but he is still just so tanky. Oriol's still not going off, and they're winning the fight, honestly, without it. Tiger steps forward finally, but not much really happening. You can see Blinky also takes down Seb on the back line there. That is, they actually continue forward. Choo-Choo's actually flashes in, so Blinky will be saved. One more time, flashes away, uses a stopwatch, and Choo-Choo's is now just in trouble. That is a lot of damage coming in across. Finally, Rosie goes in, but Tiger is now under fire, will fall down, Rosie.
Can he 1v5? I don't think so. Maybe picks up only there, overextending a bit. Jake rather, has picked up both Blinky and Only and run them into the front lines, and both of them have
just got out and ran the opposite way.
Spit themselves the other way. That fight looked pretty decent for the Bombers. That was almost best case scenario there. They do get the pick onto Tahm Kench, take him out with the Malzahar ulti, but he doesn't quite die there. And
let's take another look at it.
Pabu finds himself caught in a situation where AV aren't quite there yet, and it does give them the window to get onto JK, but the Oriole doesn't even need to land onto too many members there. And this is the gold lead speaking right now. Tiger is free hitting the entire time, but he just doesn't do enough damage. Choo-Choo's is doing a lot of damage at the back end of this fight, has used his ulti, does try to get the kill, flashes forwards there, and then we see Jake just wants to spit Blinky forward and tries to get this next kill onto Blinky out of the stopwatch, but overextending slightly too much. Rosie tries to save him. One by one, this Bombers lineup just go in, and they just fall down.
Exactly right. I mean, we can see on the back end, Tiger is still just trying to free hit, but the damage isn't there. Yeah, I beg your pardon. There was so much happening in that Cataclysm. I didn't even see the shockwave go off, but it did hit Artiferns.
Yep. The Cho'Gath that was already on 20% HP there, so
At least it hit.
not even necessary almost to win the fight there. Blinky hitting 3 people at once. Got himself a GA now, very safe.
Yeah, it's going to be a 14,000 gold lead right now for Avant Gaming. And you feel like even though that was the best case scenario for the Bombers, they just do not have the items available. This is going to take a crazy comeback.
And you see the reactionary purchase out of Jake. He got Malza ulted in that game, and then it's in that fight, sorry, then goes back to base. Immediately picks himself up a QSS, says, I don't want that happening again. That was too close for comfort there. Only staunching a little bit, but...
There's going to be a Ginsu who's eventually picked up for Tiger, so item build will be the same, but they'll just get there at different stages.
Essentially made the decision, ooh.
Good ultimate this time
flash.
onto Jake. No flash again.
Oh,
they try and lay the
misses.
CC. Does not hit. That's a massive shockwave this time around. Rosie stuck in there. Tiger had to go golden to avoid the shockwave, and that will just be them forcing the Bombers back and AV marching into the base.
Seb goes down. Rosie way too low to defend, so it's basically a 4v2 in this top side as they're trying to defend Pablo on the bot side, just free hitting on that inhib.
I mean, I don't think there's anything he
use
can
the
do.
ulti.
They use the ultimate, they use everything. Pabu is just running away. He will eventually go down, gets eaten now. All of a sudden, Blinky and Jake are over there, but this is still an uneven fight. Tiger gets blown up. Blinky is still alive somewhere, and he's still free hitting, so he will live, and now Rosie has to get the heck out of dodge. The Ninja, not all that stealthy, is just trying to run away and will get blown up. That will be the 3-for-1, 4-for-1 in the end, and look like AV marching on the base.
Both AD carries getting so incredibly low. Tiger does fall down and clutch Devour out of Jake, keeps Blinky alive, even had the GA to boot there, so would have been fine in the end, but Hobie just drawing so much pressure. The rest of the team does arrive, and AV looking like they're going to pick up the win.
Yeah, exactly right. They flash forward one more time. Shockwave only hits Seb. Blinky on no health still, gets devoured, stopwatch active, and that will be AV picking up their first win of the 2018 season.
Yeah, the rest of the members right there, as you see, getting out of their chairs, looking pretty calm. Are the likes of AV.
I mean,
chilling.
when you come into a week one with your full strength lineup versus a team that has got a jet lag player plus 2 subs.
Almost 3 subs if Tiger didn't make it. It was 2 approaching 3.
Exactly right. I mean, that should be the response. You need to come in, you need to take care of business. This is AV thinking that they can pick up all 3 points. However, there were moments in that game where Rosie and Tiger had some good plays. That Shen ultimate into the mid lane could have potentially picked up a kill, saved Choo Choo's last one. Tiger in those team fights looked pretty on point, to be honest, for a sleepy dude. Yeah,
looked pretty good. He stopwatched the Ori ulti in the back end of that top team fight there, but honestly, their bot lane did fine. But
their bot lane won by 20 CS. That's better than fine.
Yeah, it is better than fine, but AV's bot lane was only there to farm. They didn't want to do anything. That's a Cogmore Tahm Kench. You're not going to be ganking for that lane very early. You just want to let them sit. You want them to farm.
You were the level 2 Tahm Kench flash forward, try and kill someone master.
I just thought about this, and Varus doesn't have a dash, but that's what like Tahm Kench level 1, level 2. You can just straight up against an AD carry that doesn't have a dash. You can just eat them and kill them.
Bryce is like Tahm Kench lanes. They're just designed to farm. I've seen you die or kill someone at level 2.
I play for fun now. I play for fun now. So.
I'm talking about it competitive. I'm talking about it competitive. But you're right. They were just there to scale up into the late game, and they did that, and they controlled top side of the map expertly.
And that was a premeditated strategy coming out of them. Only spent so much time on the top side there. They were looking to punish Artiferns, coming in as a pretty rookie, inexperienced player on the OPL stage there, and not a good first game, honestly. Got punished very heavily. Ganks early, sent his way, didn't have the flash, and then caught overextending. Only just walks up, cleans up a free kill for Pabu. And that 2-0 lead for Pabu was enough for him to just apply pressure for the rest of the game.
Yeah, got them that Rift Herald, which broke mid lane turret. Another player we have to talk about that played well was Frey. I mean, no summoner spells available. Dodged so many ganks, I feel, that the window for Choo Choo's to flash forward and ulti him was delayed for so long that it honestly cost Bombers a lot.
Yeah, 100% agree. He played just pretty stable. Just did what he needed to do there, I think, and played defensive in that situation. No flash available. Choo Choo's was looking, but... Yeah, played pretty solid.
Not able to take it. I mean, went the comps the way they were. This was actually quite a different game. We haven't seen all that much Cho'Gath. We'd seen no Trundle internationally. I mean, there's a couple of curveballs thrown out here.
Yeah, a couple of curveballs. Not quite as spicy as the Urgot, but Trundle has been an answer to Cho'Gath for a long time, I think. And we saw exactly why there. Cho'Gath very immobile. You hit him with a pillar, your jungle comes in and pretty easy gank, to be honest. It's hard to miss a Jarvan flag and drag onto a target that's slowed by 80% or something.
Hard, but not impossible. See
Yeah,
whether
impossible.
someone else is able to pull it off throughout the rest of the week. But, I mean, this game, pretty stock standard in the end from how we thought Avant was going to play it.
Yep.
And they're a lineup that we think could be good. They could push into, that top 3, top 4 position if they're able to get the most out of these individuals.
And they've always been a team like that, middle of the pack, want to push up to the top of the ladder. And they've always been a team that's been greater than the sum of their parts. They don't have superstar players that people are like, oh my God, they've got the best player in this role, best player in this role. They just work so well at their best as a cohesive unit. And I think this roster is exactly what they're trying to do again there. Brought in Pabu, brought in Frey, brought in Only. These talents that have been around for a little while, I guess, and looking to bridge that gap.
Yeah, it certainly is the case. However, let's throw it over to Laura and Destiny to break down that game 1 victory.
Thanks, Jake. We're back to break down parts of that game. And I want to start with AV's last pick, Trundle, in the top lane, because I believe it's actually the first time we've seen him being played in the top competitively this season.
Look, I think that was the best scenario you'll ever get for a Trundle, because Trundle into Cho'Gath is a really good matchup. You're playing against a Zac, that's another tank, and then you've got Shen support. So he had 3 tanks that he was able to ult or use his ult on. He had a good lane matchup, and he honestly created so much pressure on the top side of the map, which translated to other leads like Jake, Spawn Tiberi just mentioned. He got the Rift Herald, he got the mid tower. He really took over this game just from a matchup that we've never seen internationally. We've never seen anyone play Trundle here. Pabu's the first one to do it, and it worked. And yeah, they really blew my mind. Like, the creative pathing from Only to dive through the tower, got him that first blood. Then the wave was pushing back to Pabu, and he's like, hey, Only, come top. The wave is really bad. And Artiferns pretty much just got camped. And for a first player here in the OPL, he pretty much got destroyed, which is hard to say.
It's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, very unfortunate.
I also want to touch on this Shen pick, because even though Avant had a better support draft, getting the Tahm Kench, which counters Shen, the Bombers weren't able to pull off what most teams would do with a Shen in their composition.
Yeah, just like our game yesterday, Chiefs vs Direwolves, we did the Shen Camille strat. We mis-executed it, but I think when you pick the Shen support, you generally sack the bot lane. And when I mean sack, I mean versus Tahm Kench, it's very hard to 2v2 kill them, because he has that 8, he can just run away, he procs Guardian, that gives movement speed to his AD carry, so it's hard to play aggressive in lane. So you generally want to use your Shen ult on your mid laner and your top laner. So I think picking Cho'Gath sort of defeats the purpose of picking Shen, because getting Cho'Gath ahead doesn't really do much. He just builds health, he builds armor, magic resist, and he doesn't really generate much pressure. I would have much preferred if he got the Camille, a Gangplank, a Gnar. But that's where I'd go back to the draft, because the Bombers, they banned out Gangplank and Gnar because they were scared of AV fourth picking one of them. But yeah, I think that really griefed their draft and stopped them from creating a pressure point in top. And when you have Tiger, Rosie, you've got the bot lane, you've got the Bombers bot lane, I think you should just play to your strengths and maybe try get the Braum or something like that.
It didn't seem like Tiger had that much of an impact in the game, and towards the end of the game he was still on 0-0-0. But you said you didn't think he played badly that game at all.
Yeah, I think Tiger actually probably played the best out of anyone on Bombers, considering that he was jet-lagged. He was winning his lane 20 CS up, farming well. He built an AD path. He went Blade of the Ruined King into Runarn's Hurricane. The reason he did that is because he has Malzahar, he has Zac, he has Cho'Gath. He has full magical team. He is the only AD threat on his team, so that's why he went the full AD path. It was hard for him to do damage because Kog'Maw, like, the whole map was pretty much destroyed from AV. I think AV pretty much won everything, and he was just far behind in gold. I think if the game was very even, it was definitely in his hands to carry. And yeah, I'm very excited to see what he does in game 2.
Yeah, same. I'm excited to see him also when he's probably not jet-lagged in the following weeks. But we're going to head to a short break. But when we get back, we're going to have the second game between Bombers and Avant.
Right. However, there is lots of members here. So the flag drag, the ultimate comes in. Shockwave hit, although Rosie still completes, and that is not where you want to be. Dodgefield is down, but the whole of AV is there. They've used the Tahm Kench ulti. They're dropping Herald, and this will be a very early mid-lane siege. Oh, this is actually Pabu in big trouble, and they get another grass this time onto Jake with no damage there, but he is still just so tanky. Oriol's still not going off, and they're winning the fight, honestly, without it. Tiger steps forward finally, but not much really happening. You can see Blinky also takes down Seb on the back line there. He used the ultimate, they use everything. Pabu is just running away. He will eventually go down, gets eaten now. All of a sudden, Blinky and Jake are over there, but this is still an uneven fight. Tiger gets blown up. Blinky is still alive somewhere, and he's still free hitting. So he will live, and now Rosie has to get the heck out of dodge. Flash forward one more time. Shockwave only hits Seb. Blinky on no health still, gets devoured. Stopwatch active, and that will be AV picking up their first win of the 2018 season.